Hi, can you tell me your name and who you're with?
I'm Dan Cohen, president of Fisherman's Energy. We're a New Jersey firm that's formed by the principals of New Jersey's fishing industry to develop offshore wind farms off of the coast.
Dan, you were testifying today in a hearing in the Assembly on the status of offshore wind projects in New Jersey. And your project is probably the furthest, most along in terms of seeking state approval. But you've also run into some problems in the last this month with two reports prepared for state agencies which treated you rather unkindly and said that you were quite expensive, and in fact one of the studies recommended that the state not accept your project. You had a chance today to do some rebuttal, and maybe you'd like to tell us why you think you should qualify it, what you're going to be doing.
Well, first thing is we should be approved only if we meet the guidelines set by the legislature, which were good net, guidelines, which are net benefits tests. And quite frankly, we're confident that as the state analyzes fully our submission and the new information we're providing, that they will find that our project does meet that net benefits test, including we hope the rate council will find that also. We would say that some of the information contained in the report is really based upon an accurate reading of information that was provided and some poor evaluation. I guess give you some examples. This is not what's discussed today, but if you ask me specifically about the report, there is a discussion in the report that our constructing a 25 megawatt wind farm consisting of 5 or 6 turbines off Atlantic City would cause 29,000 jobs to be lost in New Jersey because of a 0.13, 13/100% rate impact on the state. That's really an insignificant rate impact. New Jersey experienced an 11% rate increase in 2008. If their expert was correct in terms of what should be lost in jobs, New Jersey would have lost 2,510,000 jobs in 2008. Really, we have a state of like 8.7 million people. That'd really be 100% unemployment. We know that didn't happen in 2008, so we can clearly see that their projection of job loss is incorrect. But that's okay. They did raise some issues, some of which are, again, misinterpretation. Today was discussion that our project was the most expensive project in the world. We're clearly not the most expensive offshore wind farm in the world. It's only 25 megawatts. Now, we do have a high cost installation per megawatt because it's a small project. Example, the London Array is 1,000 megawatts. Their cost per megawatt will be much lower because they can divide all of their capital costs in terms of mobilization, permitting. A lot of their infrastructure costs are divided among a very large project. But despite that, we are actually producing, as we said today, we're sharpening our pencil, we're working with our vendors, costs are coming down, newer technologies are even developed as we're working, and we're confident that when we submit this new information in the next few weeks to the BPU and it's reviewed by the Rate Council and their experts, that we'll have a completely different conclusion and that this will be approved, will be for the benefit of the state.
You said something interesting in your testimony today. I found interesting that this project came, as you said, out of commercial fishing industry in the Atlantic City area, and that initially you folks were opposed to the idea of offshore wind. What changed your mind?
Well, to be clear, on a certain level, you could say we're still opposed.
Okay.
If someone would promise it would never be built, we'd be happy to leave the ocean the way it is. The fact of the matter, though, is that I don't know if anything will stay the way it is. We're all confronted with societal issues. We are confronted with global climate change because of CO2. We as fishermen see the impact of actual changes in the ocean right now. We're seeing them first. And therefore, we know that that's really true. Also, we're big consumers of fossil fuels. Number 2 diesel is one of our number one expenses. So we can see that we as a society, we as an industry are going to have to change and adapt. And therefore, when we start looking at this, if we need to adapt and change, who could we do a good job? Could we do a better job than others? We looked at the other people who were proposing to develop offshore wind. Really, they looked like real estate developers. They didn't have the experience we had offshore. They weren't local New Jersey business people. And we thought we could actually do a better job. In fact, I think we're bearing that out. The first offshore wind farms were proposed in the United States over 10, 11 years ago, and there's still nothing built. We made our proposals in March of 2008, and we're close to being built the first offshore wind project in the country, and actually North and South America. So a lot came about because of our practical approach to this.
And the Federal Department of Energy has just recently announced some new funding that will be available for offshore. And do you hope to get some of that, and what would the impacts be of that?
Well, yeah, we actually believe we're in I would hope, the front runner status. The Department of Energy has identified that they want to accelerate offshore wind, and they themselves have identified that it's been talked about in the United States for over 10 years and nothing's been built. And they see in Europe and in Asia significant advances being made by these competing countries, and therefore they are trying themselves to jumpstart this industry. And they've identified, the Department of Energy itself has done its studies and has said that the only way to begin this industry is through a demonstration project. We identified that first in 2007, 2008. We were the first company to identify that. They are now allocating a grant program for the first projects under 50 megawatt. They've allocated up to $180 million. How much that'll be divided between 4 projects, we don't know. But we believe we're one of the first, or one of the most likely candidates for this. Number one is we have all of our state of New Jersey permits. We expect to have our Army Corps permit, we hope, within the next 30 days. And quite frankly, if we can resolve issues with the Board of Public Utilities in the next few months, we will have an agreed customer for our electricity, really the ratepayers and the citizens of New Jersey. If that is accomplished, we will have a fully developed project other than being able to go to construction. And the impact of a grant will be significant because whatever costs we agree with the BPU will be reduced by the level of the grant. The grant will be towards the capital costs of the project, and it will reduce the costs to New Jersey's ratepayers.
Dan, thank you very much for speaking with us today. How folks who might be interested in learning more about your project, where would they find out more?
They would go to our website, www.fishermansenergy.com, and find more about us and get contacts there.
Thank you very much.